everyone, and welcome to the grand finale here at the Hockenheimring. It is going to be super exciting. We only have 2 more races to go, and 9 possible drivers can snatch the title. It's super exciting, and especially in regards to the weather, because today it's windy, it's cloudy, and it's going to rain most likely during the race. So it's going to be super exciting. And the man who's leading the championship is Lukas Auer. He's got a comfortable 7 points ahead of Jordan Pepper and 11 points ahead of René Rast. So at the moment he's in a very good position. But in this championship so far, we've seen it change all the time. It is so exciting. I don't even remember a championship this exciting and this tight. But looking at Luki, he seems all calm and focused, and obviously he wants this title, just like 8 other drivers. So let's do it. Let's go qualifying. Here you commentators. Enjoy. See you later.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Good morning, everybody. Welcome then, as Verena said, to the finale here at Hockenheim. 2 days of qualifying, 2 days of racing to determine this year's DTM champion. Lukas Auer has almost throughout the entire season had his nose in front, except for a couple of Saturday evenings. If he can do it one more time, walk away from a racetrack on a Sunday night with the championship lead, it will become the championship title, and Luki will get his first crown at the circuit where he made his DTM debut. 7 points is his slender advantage, but he has had a slimmer lead than that at times this season. Jordan Pepper, his nearest rival, but he didn't have a great day in free practice yesterday, nor did René Rast. More news on René in a moment. Maro Engel in the second season running going for the championship title is 4th in the standings. Ernst Nguyen has had a fantastic season, 4 wins this year. He looked good yesterday. All the Porsches looked very strong in dry free practice sessions. Jack Aitken, Marco Wittmann, Thomas Preining and Jules Gounon still in the mix. So 9 drivers, 29 points between them, 56 points available. But this is what happened yesterday to Jordan Pepper in the first free practice session. He stuck throttle, meant that he couldn't get around the corner at turn 12. Then over one curve, smacked into the barriers. Quite a hard jolt for the South African, who I'm told had a slight shoulder injury after this. And there was a lot of damage to the left side of the car, even though Jordan managed to get the impact square on with his Lamborghini into the barrier. So he did a few laps in that first free practice session. The team worked a miracle to get him back out for free practice too, because there's actually a lot of damage underneath the skin of the car. And they reckon, Gottfried Grasser, that just a small stone got stuck in the accelerator bracket, which is really unlucky. And that was what caused his throttle to stick open. So Jordan got back out, didn't have a particularly strong second free practice session either. The driver 2nd in the championship. That's the driver 3rd in the championship, in what for now looks like being his farewell to DTM, because after free practice 2 finished yesterday, an announcement from René that he will not be competing in the DTM in 2026. He didn't say that it's a definite forever farewell. He's still going to be racing. He's not retiring from racing. And he also had some tricks yesterday. This corner, Sachs Curve, caught a lot of drivers out, and it also caught René Rast out yesterday. This was actually after free practice 2, when the cars went out for the track safari. The track safari being where paying members of the public go out onto the circuit on a bus or a couple of buses, and in amongst them are the DTM cars running around. It's a fantastic experience. But René went off there. We had Thomas Preining going off there. We had the Aston Martin of Gilles Magnus going off there, and about 6 other cars went off at the Sachs Curve. So that was catching them all out. Maro Engel, who still fighting for the Endurance Championship in the GT World Challenge, won the World Challenge Sprint Cup last year with Lukas Auer, finished 3rd in the DTM Championship last year. And he is looking to close the 16-point deficit that he's got. He's had 3 podiums this year. He hasn't yet got a race victory, unlike this man, Ernst Nguyen, who, as I say, has had 4 of them this season. His most successful year so far in the DTM, a double victory at the Sachsenring. First ever Turkish driver to win a DTM race. Can he become the first ever Turkish driver to win the DTM? Jack Aitken, what might have been, he could have had a pretty substantial championship lead coming into this weekend, but he had contact with Thomas Preining at Sachsenring when they were fighting for the lead of the race. He had contact with Ricardo Feller at the Nürburgring, which cost him points when he was sent off into a spin. He went off with a few corners to go when he was running second at the Red Bull Ring with a very, very rare mistake from the British driver, and then he suffered a really unlucky puncture, which cost him a ton of points when he was fighting for a podium in race 2 at the Red Bull Ring last time out. So he's on the back foot, 6th in the championship, but he did a great comeback drive at Indianapolis in his other championship that he races in, IMSA Sports Car Championship, to get a race victory at Indy straight after his very tough weekend at the Red Bull Ring, which was a real show of what resolve the British driver has got. The Emil Frey Racing squad still going for the Teams Championship as well, which is being led by 2023 Teams champions Manthey. But a very good day yesterday with Thomas Preining, fastest in one free practice session, second in the other. All the Porsches were up there. Let's see what today brings, though, as they head out onto the track. 20 minutes of qualifying coming up then. The penultimate qualifying session of DTM 2025 to set the grid for the penultimate race of the season, round 15, which comes up at local time at 1:30 this afternoon. And remember, 3 points available if you qualify on pole, 2 points for second and a point for third. It is going to be an absolutely critical 20 minutes of qualifying. Here to watch it all and try and keep on top of everything that's going to be thrown at us this weekend, I'm sure. My name's Chris Hartley, and in the commentary box here at Hockenheim alongside me, it's Brian Oliver as we get team radio from Jules Gunon.
T11, T12, plus 2 corners.
So it's coming on the start-finish straight from the left, so it's not directly backwind, a little bit backwind, turn 1, and then proper backwind.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody. There is an air of tension around the Hockenheimring today, I can tell you that. As if we didn't have enough random elements thrown at us. As you just heard from Team Radio there, the weather is also going to play its part. It's pretty windy out there. We've got wind warnings on the weather forecast apps. You can see there, looking down at the wonderful Spitzkehre, the hairpin here at Hockenheim, which is turn 6, that there are damp patches on the track. I think we've had a bit of rain overnight. We're pretty sure that's not the last of the rain that we're going to see. So the weather may well play a part in this. Qualifying, really important. We said it yesterday. We feel as though the driver who is able to have a near perfect day today and tomorrow is going to be in with the best shot of the championship, i.e. we cannot afford mistakes. A DNF, getting it wrong, having a lap discounted because of track limits, anything like that could well take one of the 9 drivers out of the championship hunt. This is really edge of the seat stuff. I hope you're strapped in, because today and tomorrow is going to be an absolute thriller.
The trouble is this year, people do have near-perfect days, but nobody's been able to have 2 near-perfect days across the course of a weekend. It's ebbed and flowed, but you just, I think, need 2 good, consistent days. You don't even, I think, need to win a race or win both races this weekend. It's about banging in the points this weekend and having that consistency. But there's going to be a big fight this afternoon, because you've got those drivers with ground to make up, sort of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th of the championship, that have really got to go for it today. Thomas Preining, as I said, quickest yesterday in the first free practice session in the Manthey Porsche, with a 137.413. They should be into the 136s in qualifying trim. Lucas Auer went second quickest in that first free practice session. Apparently he used his 1 new set of slicks that you're allowed in free practice. He used them in that first session because there was a chance that it might have rained in the second free practice session yesterday. So if you're watching free practice 2 thinking, well, why is Lugie not going very well now? Because he was second quickest this morning, and in free practice 2 he was back in 16th place. It's because he did his qualifying run in that first session. He used his better tyres up in that first session. Arjen Gun was quickest in the second free practice session, Tommy Preining second, and then Timo Glock and Ben Durr in the McLarens were 3rd and 4th yesterday. We had an issue with, a couple of issues actually, with the Fabio Scherer Ford Mustang as well. He had broken steering, which put him out of the first free practice session after just a few laps. And there were some issues with Arjen Miney as well. He didn't do too many laps in that first session. And then Fabio's car actually stopped early on in free practice 2 on track, but he did fire it up, get going again. So they had limited running, although Arjen did pretty well in the second session in the end. And they have had 1 change overnight to the BOPs, that 20 kilograms has been taken off the weight of the Fords compared to what they had yesterday of BOP ballast, and they've also got slightly smaller air restrictors on the cars. Changes compared to last year, pretty similar for most in terms of BOP, but the Mercedes are 5 kilograms heavier than in 2024, and they've got two 34.5mm air restrictors, which restrict the airflow into the engines and restrict the power, therefore, on the normally aspirated cars. Those restrictors are 0.5 millimetre smaller than they were in 2024, which should equate to about 1/10 of a second per lap. The BMWs have got slightly more boost, the turbo-powered BMWs, throughout the rev range than they had in last year, but only slightly more. Ferraris have got more lower rev boost, but have a bit less than they had last year in the mid-range and the higher range. The Lamborghini's the big one. Having started the season with a 50mm air restrictor, it switched the BOP to a 49mm restrictor at the last round at the Red Bull Ring, smallest it's ever had, and it's the same again this year. So compared to last year, it's 2mm smaller, the air restrictor, which equates to, it's about 0.2 of a second per millimetre. So in theory, about 0.4 they lose there, but they've been given 5 kilograms less in terms of BOP weight. The Porsches are the really interesting one. They're the biggest change, really. They've got air restrictors that are 2mm larger than this time last year, which means more airflow, which means more power, which should equate to about 0.4 of a second. And they're the same weight. They haven't been compensated that with extra weight on the car. And as I say, yesterday, all three of the Porsches, Maurice Scuring, Ingen Guwen and Tommy Preining, looking very competitive.
Well, if you're new to DTM, firstly, where have you been? Secondly, you'll wonder why there is absolutely nothing happening out on track at the moment. It's a glorious day here at Hockenheimring. There are no cars running, but what is in fact happening is when the cars went round just now on their installation laps, the mechanics would have sealed off all the air vents into the brakes to get the heat into the brakes, and that lap would have been really critical to get the brakes up to temperature. Now the cars are sat in the pits in what they call the heat soak sequence, and that is where they're allowing what looks like a lot of heat there in René Rast's car. They're allowing that heat to transmit through the wheel rims and into the tyres, generating a bit of heat into the tyres. And then in a few minutes, and the clock is ticking down, we're getting towards the halfway point of qualifying already, the cars will all go out on track together. Then we will have the build laps, getting the tyres into the window. And when the drivers and the teams are confident that the tyres are exactly at the right temperature, it will be time for the push laps. And that is when the fastest times will come. The track will, in theory, get quicker as the session goes on, as it gets drier, as more rubber is laid down. Of course, that's assuming it doesn't rain. So the driver who crosses the line almost last before the clock strikes zero has the best opportunity of maybe getting a pole position, certainly a position towards the front of the grid. So it is a waiting game, but of course you're risking it, because if you get a red flag or a yellow flag or rain late in the session, then you might find suddenly you're at the wrong end of the grid. So it's a kind of, it's he who dares wins, really, in this at the moment. But I think in a few minutes, we're suddenly going to see all the cars firing up. And then everybody's going to be complaining because they haven't got enough space out on track because it's too crowded.
Yeah, so basically we'll have about 7 minutes of qualifying. They should be able to get 3 push laps out of it, maybe. Definitely 2, maybe 3. They get 4 sets of Pirelli P0 DHG tyres, slick tyres that they can use across the course of Saturday and Sunday. 55% chance of rain showers from midday onwards, which could affect the race. But looking at the weather radar, it looks like that rain is going to stay away this morning, even though it's pretty dark if I look at the skies from the commentary box. Last year, pole position on Saturday went to Kelvin van der Linde, albeit in a wet qualifying session in the Audi. Went on to finish second in the championship. Pole on Sunday went to Mirko Bortolotti, and a mega lap, which was enough to earn him, get his nose in front and earn him pole position, then going on to win the championship last year, Mirko. The year before, both pole positions went to Thomas Preining, and he actually got the lap record at the time on the Sunday morning in qualifying, and the point that he got for that was enough to put him into a position where he couldn't be beaten in the championship. But Lucas Hauer has been on pole here. René Rast has been on pole here in both of them in 2022. Replay of, this is going to be close, isn't it? BMW almost making contact with a Ferrari. Breathe in. So officials might have a little look at that. That would have been an expensive coming together as Marco Wittmann came out just in front of Ben Green. But it's signs that there is now life, and they're all heading out onto the track. They'll set themselves up for a couple of laps before they start to push. This year we've had 8 different pole sitters. Jordan Pepper and Jack Aitken have had 3 poles each. Lucas Hauer and Thierry Vermeulen have had 2 poles each. Ben Durr, Jules Gunon, René Rast and Marco Wittmann have been the other drivers to secure a pole position this year. And 7 different winners. Ijnjin Guan 4 wins, René Rast 3, Aitken and Hauer 2 apiece, Pepper, Preining and Feller 1 each, and 14 different drivers on the podium this year out of the 24 drivers that we have. Their temperature a bit cooler than yesterday for free practice 2, but warmer than it was for free practice 1 at 15 degrees. There is Jordan Pepper. We've got onboard cameras on all of the key championship contenders. What is going to be a massive 9.5 minutes of qualifying now, which is effectively what it has become around this 4.5 kilometre long circuit. There is Luigi Hauer. We spoke to him when we arrived at the circuit on Thursday afternoon. Had a quick chat with him in the garage at Landgraf, and he looked super relaxed, as always, super chilled, always friendly, always smiling. And if anybody can deal with the pressure of being the driver that everybody's trying to hunt down this weekend, it is him, and that's the driver doing the hunting. He needs to have got the bad luck out of the way on Friday, Jordan Pepper, because he needs things to go right now to close this gap down. And René Rast, in what's certainly going to be his last DTM race weekend for a while, not forever necessarily, but he's certainly not racing in the championship next year. What can he do? Can he get a 4th title? Can Maro Engel get a 1st championship title? He's got the experience of being involved in this championship fight last year. He didn't come out on top in the end, ended up 3rd in the championship. New experiences for the likes of Ijnjin Guan and Jack Aitken. There is Hakan, Ijnjin's dad, who comes to every single race. He's been with him at every single step of his career. It'll be a super emotional weekend if Ijnjin can pinch this championship. There's Jack Aitken. But Brian, all of these drivers, whether or not they have been DTM champions, whether or not they've been involved in a DTM championship fight before, they are all champions elsewhere in other forms of motorsports. They've all got that experience to build on. Sometimes they will have won a championship at the last weekend of a season. Sometimes it won't have gone their way, and they can use all of that experience to build this weekend's attack on the title, can't they?
Yes, this is the absolute pinnacle of GT racing, and only the best of the best, and drawing on that experience, making sure that they take heed from all the lessons they've learned over the years in their various championships. You think of Ijnjin Guan, who we've seen coming through the ranks of Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. Now it's time to put it all into practice, and of course the drivers very much needing to keep it within track limits. I think yesterday, as we look at Thomas Preining's dad, another real supporter of their son, but yesterday, I think race director Sven Stopper, well, if he was going to talk to the drivers, he would have said, "Thou troubles" to me, I should think, because there was a lot of track limits being exceeded during free practice. I mean, I think it was probably into 3 figures, and I think a word might have been had. So drivers need to keep it within those track limits, because if they lose laps with 7 minutes on the clock, that will be critical in terms of grid position.
I had a nice chat yesterday with Thomas Preining's mom and dad, his dad Andy, his mom Petra, who've been to quite a few of the races at DTM over the years, and were with him every step of the way through his karting career. Brilliant kart racer, raced predominantly in the European Euro Rotax Max Championship. He was the junior champion. He dominated that year's championship where I first came across him, went on to win Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, now a DTM champion as well. Andy was a motorcycle racer, raced at World Championship level, and he showed me a screenshot of an old Hockenheim program from 1991, where he was racing here at the World Motorcycle Championship. He was in the 350cc class with some great names racing with him. and the attendance for that event was 150,000 people here at Hockenheim. He said you could hear the crowd through your helmet when you're riding through the Motordrome Stadium section, this last section, which we have, brilliant section where there's a grandstand all around it. We can see it from the commentary box, designed by John Hockenheim, who's the designer of the Suzuka Grand Prix circuit as well. And it's a fantastic arena in which the gladiators come at the end of each of the laps. Right, qualifying lap record here. Lucas Auer, 2022, a 1 minute 36.479. Don't know if we've got the conditions for that today with the wind and cooler conditions, but I would think, Brian, we've got to be into the 136s to be gunning for pole position, even if it's a high 136.
Yes, I'm looking at the temperature, and we're actually quite a lot warmer than we were for FP1 yesterday. We're at 15.2 degrees centigrade, so as long as the track is dry all the way around, and it looks dry certainly on the racing lines at Hockenheim, it's certainly exploring the outer limits of turn 17. So I think as long as it's dry, temperature is reasonable. There is that wind, though, and the wind does play havoc with the cars, and it is pretty strong. The flags are flying hard here at Hockenheimring, but would expect to see laps potentially, certainly quicker than yesterday, but getting towards the lap record may be going to be a bit difficult as we look at the outgoing champion, Mirko Bortolotti, crossing the line, continuing to build the temperature.
And Mirko had a good day yesterday, 5th in free practice 1, 6th in free practice 2. Max Powell is also exploring the limits. Had a difficult weekend at the Red Bull Ring, but can Powell Motorsport, the victors at Zandvoort, can they come through and turn things around here at Hockenheim? The lap, as always, divided into 3 sectors, so we can follow the progress of the lap as it goes. The first sector takes in the run from the start line through the Nord curve at turn 1, and then the jink through the right at turn 2, the left at turn 3. It's a short first sector, 21 seconds. The middle sector is the one you've got to get right, because that is a much longer in terms of time. It takes about half of the lap time to get through it, at around about 45 seconds. And sector 3 is somewhere in between the two, at about 30 seconds long on a hot lap. Jack Aitken has just put the absolute best mid-sector in the Ferrari. He's gone through with a 45.1, which looks pretty competitive. Over the line goes Jack, sets the early benchmark time and is in the 136s already. Good effort, 136.805. Here is Ricardo Feller, who looked strong yesterday, the hero of the Red Bull Ring, getting Land Motorsport's first ever win in a car with which he won a championship title in GT Masters some 4 years ago. And Ricardo has looked on it all weekend long as well. Engine Nguyen's gone second quickest for now with a 137.3. Thierry Vermeulen, another Ferrari going well. Ben Green going well as well. 136.902 for Vermeulen. Green with a 137.1. They're first and second. Feller is third. Aitken has disappeared down the timing because his lap time has been cancelled, I think, for track limits.
Oh, man. Well, Maurice Schering is another one who's gone purple in Sector 1. Gilles Magnus, quickest of anybody in Sector 2. That is the longest sector on the track. So everybody now starting to turn the wick up, pull the pin. But I think Maurice Schering, when he comes out across the line in just a few seconds, is going to move himself up from 15th place if things remain as they are. There is Thomas Preining as well in the background, teammate Maurice Schering. So in towards that slippery outside line of turn 16 and 17, out across the line. So first will come Thomas Preining, and he will cross the line to stop the clock and move into second place. But Maurice Schering, 5th place for him.
Which is matching his best qualifying of the year so far in his first season. Maurice gunning against Gilles Magnus and predominantly Ben Durr for the rookie title this year. Maurice qualified 5th 2 weekends ago at the Saxon Ring. Thierry Vermeulen with a 136.759. Ben Green, though, goes a 10th and a half quicker. 136.759 for him. 136.883 for Aitken now, puts him second. It's a Ferrari 1-2-3. Green, Aitken, Vermeulen. Preining in the Porsche is 4th. Feller in the Audi is 5th. Schering down to 6th place in his Porsche. Gilles Magnus looking good in 7th in the Aston Martin. Nguyen in 8th as he crosses the line. Rast Nightclock in 10th place. Where's Lucas Auer, the championship leader? The answer is 22nd at the moment.
Wow. We've got 9 cars that have had cancellation of lap times because of track limits. One of those is Ben Green. Now, I don't know whether that was the lap that he's just finished or the one prior to that. But a lot of drivers receiving penalties, well, having lap times deleted as a result of exceeding limits on turn 1.
Lucas Auer, then the championship leader, has improved up the order to 17th.
I don't need an update anymore.
Jordan Pepper struggling, second in the championship, 13th at the moment. Ben Green's done an absolute best first sector on this lap as well. And Jack Aitken's gone through within half a tenth of a second through that first sector. He's slightly behind Ben on the track. So the Emil Fry team working to try and get a bit more time out of the cars. Prying goes through 1:37.081, not quite as good as his previous best, within half a tenth, but he stays in 4th place. Ben Green, normally what happens with these tyres, most circuits, you get 2 hot laps out of them. You start to get a good lap time on lap 3, and then the tyre fades on that lap, and it looks like that's what has happened here with Ben Green. Yeah, it doesn't improve, back right off in the end, but he doesn't need to at the moment because he's on course for his first pole position. This is a replay of Luke Yauer getting it way out wide. Does he spin? He's going to, yeah. So Luke Yauer with a spin, the championship leader. He's back in 18th. Team radio.
Okay, yeah, I'm okay. How was the car?
Was touch on the tire barriers, the rear damage, rear left.
Oof, so that's turn 8, isn't it? I think coming into the right-hander there, and a rare error. I've never seen so many offs.
Oh, it's done a lot of damage.
Yeah, I've never seen so many offs in free practice 1, free practice 2, now qualifying in a DTM weekend, as I've seen this weekend in dry conditions at least. So Auer stuck off the track. It's coming out of turn 1 actually, where he came to grief, pushing to try and improve his position. The championship leader, at best, is going to start 18th. They're going to have to fix the car. Jordan Pepper, second in the championship, is 14th. René Rast, third in the championship, slightly better off in 10th place. Maro Engel, 4th in the championship, is where? Not that high up either, is he? Where is Maro? He's,
I can't even find him.
He's not shown on the screen, weirdly, is he? Oh, there he is,
Yes,
8th. Sorry, he's gone into the pits, that's why.
Yes,
8th
red.
place. And then you've got Thomas Pryning, 5th in the championship, much better than all of them, 4th place. And Jack Aitken, 6th in the championship, 2nd on the grid. But it's none of the championship contenders that's on pole position. It's Ben Green, and it's a Ferrari 1-2-3. It's an Emil Fry Racing 1-2-3. Ben Green, Jack Aitken, Thierry Vermeulen locking out the first 3 positions. 2 points to Ben Green, a championship point to championship contender Jack Aitken, and another great qualifying for Thierry Vermeulen, who's looking really sharp in qualifying of late. Here's a replay on board with Lugi through turn 1, just wrestling the wheel and struggling for grip all the way through, wasn't he? Wasn't too heavy an impact with the barrier, but enough to cause a bit of work down at Landgraf for the championship leader, and not the ideal start,
no,
to say the least, for Lugi Auer, back in 18th place on the grid, which is his worst grid, his worst qualifying of the year so far. Bad timing.
Yeah, we said at the beginning that for a driver to get this championship sewn up, they need a near-perfect weekend, and that's not what Lucas Auer needed. Ben Green, on the other hand, well, he's not in the championship hunt, and we chatted to him on Thursday, didn't we? And he was saying, I would just love to get some silverware to take home. He says, I've got room in my luggage for a trophy. Well, he's taken one step in that direction. Let's hope he's going to keep this pole position this time. Ben Green on pole position for the penultimate race of the season. What a way to finish.
Yeah, so drama. We knew it wasn't going to be straightforward this weekend. It never is it, in the DTM? And already in the first qualifying session of the weekend, we've already had dramas yesterday in free practice as Lugi tries to make sure they don't damage any more of his Mercedes. It is a championship leader who, remember, is the only driver this year to finish every single race in the points with a very, very rare off. And that was at turn 1 towards the end of the session. He wasn't going great in qualifying anyway. He just put his personal best lap time in the lap before that. Was going for it there. But it won't faze him, Lucas Auer. He's a very experienced competitor, more than a decade racing in this championship. He's had 3 wins around here. And he hasn't got to go and, win all the races or even necessarily get podiums in both of the races this weekend. But he has got to go forward from there. You sense that he's got to pick up something out of this this race to take a bit of pressure off tomorrow. But Brian, even if he loses the championship lead tonight, and he's lost it a couple of Saturdays
Yes.
to Jack Aitken, he still won't stress about it, will he? Because it's who is ahead on Sunday that matters the most.
And he has a habit of coming out on top when it's the end of Sunday.
Right, let's get some reaction to that qualifying session with Verena.
And I'm here with Ben Green. Congratulations, what a fantastic job you did. I see a big smile on your face, so well done.
Yeah, that one feels good. Yeah, obviously 8 rounds since the last really good qualifying. So, yeah, really happy to come full circle and be back at the front.
And also it's your first pole this season, so that's great news as well. And looking forward to the race, even though it's going to be wet.
Yeah, will be interesting. Let's see how it goes. I mean, we're starting from the best position, and yeah, we can go forwards from there.
Thank you so much, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much indeed. Yeah, a maiden pole for Ben Green. As is often the case, all of the attention is on the championship contenders, and somebody else with their own agenda, their own desires to get pole, to get race wins, are the ones that actually get to the top of the timing screen. So great job by Ben Green. He really has. He had some issues with the car in the first half of the season. It's his second year racing with this team, his first year racing in the DTM, and he really has started to come good. He's picked up a couple of podiums of late. He nearly got on the podium last time out as well, and pole position for him for the first time. Jack Aitken picks up second place, and that would be 2 championship points, which would then get the gap down to Lucas Auer to 19 points. Thierry Vermeulen third, Thomas Preining fourth will be, I think, okay with that, but I think he was probably hoping for pole position given how it went yesterday. Ricardo Feller looking good again this weekend, fifth. Maurice Skuring sixth. Good job by Gilles Magnussen, the Aston Martin, for seventh. Maro Engel, Aengen Nguyen and Rene Rast completing the top 10 with just over half a second between them. But the qualifying results are under investigation due to a yellow flag in turn 1, which ironically is the yellow flag caused by the championship leader Lucas Auer. So these results are for now all provisional. Back down to Verena.
And I'm here with Thierry Vermeulen. Congratulations. You said this morning you weren't really expecting this, so you're really excited about getting P3 in the qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this morning I really didn't expect it. I think it's the biggest turnaround feeling-wise what we did with the car since a long time. Yesterday, although the lap times were competitive, the feeling was just really tough. And this morning was probably one of the best feeling-wise the car has been here in Hockenheim. Super balanced. The first lap was a bit under the limit. The second lap was going to be an improvement. I messed up a little bit the last sector, but Moffrey really deserved this one because today the car was extremely strong. Yeah.
And speaking of extremely strong, you also had a great weekend at Spielberg, so the the positive trend is continuing with you, so it's looking good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think all season we've had days or sessions where we've been quick, and the focus the second half is really on trying to put them together and step by step build your weekends. And today was a great day again, but we have an exciting race ahead, and we'll work hard to also do well there.
I'm sure you will. Thank you so much, Thierry. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, Thierry with a double podium and a pole position last time out at the Red Bull Ring. And that is now the 5th time he's qualified in the top 3. Another replay of that car just getting unsettled on the curbs, wasn't it? On the inside through the Nordkurve. It's a quick corner, that first corner, taken in 4th gear at about 180 kilometers an hour. So it doesn't take much to send you spearing off into the barriers. Drama then, a provisional results, 2 races to come. We're off and flying in the finale here at Hockenheim. Join us for the race later. From Brian and myself, Chris, in the commentary box, that's it. And back down to Verena.
I'm here with Jack Aitken, starting in P2 in the race today, and also the only one who's fighting for the title who's in the top 2 or top 3, so I guess you're happy about that. All in all, you're 6th in the championship and you're 18 points behind Auer, and I mean the championship has never been this exciting because anything is possible from here, so I guess you're super excited that you're the one who's in the front.
Yep, I mean, it's a perfect quali for us, nearly. To have all the cars from Emil Frey at the top like that was really unexpected, but great timing to do it in this race this weekend. But to be honest, you know, I won two points here, but there is still a lot to do this afternoon. I'm sure that the other title guys will fight towards the front, so, you know, nothing is done yet.
Exactly, and it's super exciting. And also in regards to the weather, I mean, it looks like it's going to be super wet, so that'll make it even more tricky as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't mind some rain. I think in the past we were quite strong. And for sure, when you're in the front and you can see something, it's a little bit easier. So let's see. The forecast was changing many times the last couple of days, so it could also be dry.
We'll see, Jack. Thank you so much. And yeah, what an exciting qualifying here in Hockenheim. And now, of course, we're looking forward to a super exciting race because only 2 more races in the DTM season. You do not want to miss it. See you later. Here are the highlights. Enjoy.